Wait for my signal. Take him out.
Before we get into this, I want to give credit to Vile Reviews, as he made videos on the worst adaptations of Transformers characters, and I want to do my own take on this, as I have an opinion that I've been thinking of ever since I've seen Revenge of the Fallen. Now, to give context, I love combiners, especially G1 combiners. They are my favorite, and my favorite of them are the Constructicons. I just love the idea of construction vehicles that combine, that being Devastator, the most powerful robot in the Decepticon ranks. He fell on hard times towards the end of Season 2 and Season 3, but overall, they are the all-stars of the Decepticon team. Along with that, with their other adaptations, I love their boss fights in Transformers Devastation, and actually my second favorite adaptation of them is in Transformers Animated, whenever they were friends with Bulkhead and they were essentially just New Yorker construction workers.
Whoa! Check out the chassis on that one, huh?
And those tight little tailpipes.
Unfortunately though, this cannot be said for Devastator in Revenge of the Fallen, as I personally feel as in the Bayverse, the Constructicons aren't really handled that well, as I really do think they are super cool, they just aren't done justice for what I want out of them. Now, I will say this, I'm not going to be fully negative, because I do enjoy the Constructicons as individuals in the movie, because in the beginning, in the Shanghai chase, Demolisher is absolutely amazing. I'm sorry to say this, but people that hate Bayverse designs, you cannot tell me you look at a design like Demolisher and not say that is sick as hell. That is peak Bayverse design, and it looks incredible. It's big, it's bulky. Wait, Optimus, no! We also have Rampage, and I just love his spring design. He just looks super cool moving around. He's not my favorite Rampage. That will always go to Beast Wars Rampage.
The darkness of its spark echoes my own.
Now, unfortunately, is Devastator. And Devastator itself is, I gotta say first off, is some of the most impressive work in CGI history. Not just for 2009, but I mean ever. And I just love looking at the behind the scenes of it, because it looks like it was a technical nightmare for them, because you think about how difficult it was to make Devastator. Think about all the other designs and all the other characters, renders, and backgrounds they had to do, and this was just on top of the just heavy load and stress level that they had to do. And I gotta say, the design of Devastator looks incredible. It is amazing. I love how it's just like this cobbled together monster. I mean, watching this for the first time, it is a true horrifying creature. But then, whenever you watch him, on screen, you realize he doesn't do anything. All he does is just climb up a pyramid, open the Star Harvester, and then get blown to bits by the US. Because I'll tell you this, I didn't get into Transformers until Transformers 1, but I would imagine, like, if I was watching, commercials in 2009, and I watch Devastator take on the Autobots, I would honestly feel cheated, because he does fight the twins in the movie, but come on, it doesn't count.
Why don't you get a haircut with your bitch ass?
Because imagine how cool it would have been if, all the Autobots and all the, US Army had to, work together and take on Devastator and, use teamwork. But instead, he just climbs and just does nothing. And I guess it's kind of disappointing, because I don't have a problem with, the Army and the US government and the Transformers movies. My only problem with them is whenever it comes to them taking on Decepticons like Devastator. I don't have a problem with them taking out, Blackout or Scorponok or stuff like that, because that's whatever. But whenever you have the Deep State essentially one-shotting Devastator, one of the most iconic, combiner in Transformers, it kind of feels like you're taking the wind out of the sails of the Transformers themselves. So much for Ironhide or, Sideswipe doing something in this movie. And along with that is, throughout the movie, we see Devastator, climbing up King Kong style, but throughout the rest of the movie, during the final battle, we also see that there's other Constructicons, and I'm not sure if, they're clones or not, which kind of makes it feel a bit generic, because, we have Mixmaster, and he's, the head of Devastator, and then, in the final battle, we see Mixmaster is, fighting the army, so it kind of just feels kind of lazy just to have, you know, just like a clone of him. The Commanders are cool because they're own individual character, you know, their own big bot, but whenever you just have clones upon clones, it's kind of lazy. But I do partially understand it because you can't just make new, you know, guys out of thin air. That costs money, you know, like the animators and CGI artists, you know, like you can't put too much stress on them like that.
Now the animators are gonna have to draw all this fire!
Because I think they're cool, like I said, individually. Seems like Mixmaster just knocking over a US flag for no reason. If you're gonna have a character so cool and so hyped up with an incredible design, I think you're kind of just wasting your time and energy at that point. But, you know, that's just my opinion. If you feel that way, you know, if you feel like they did Devastator justice, you know, please tell me in the comments down below. Heck, maybe you saw this back in '09 and thought it was, you know, still the coolest thing ever. I guess not to leave it on a negative note, something that I really think is funny is whenever they revive Megatron and one of the Doctor goes like, kill the little one, and they automatically just rip one of their own to shreds. Like, dude, he's one of your teammates. Like, come on, guys. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. If you want to, follow me on all my other social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and all that. And remember, there is more to you than meets the eye.